Things at Ubisoft are far worse than I ever could have imagined. After my last video chronicling the rise and fall of Ubisoft, I had both current and former Ubisoft developers reach out for comment. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the issues that the studios face today from the perspective of their own employees. Everything from Me Too movement allegations to agenda-driven content.
Okay, I can already imagine it's going to be harsh. Yeah, Ubisoft is not really in the best right now, so let's see what he's going to show us.
I want to contrast the comments made in these interviews with what we've seen from Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. This company has a deep-rooted leadership issue, going as far to think that the vast majority of online criticism is just a toxic minority of
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. I'm actually not on Twitter right now because in my country Twitter is banned, so I can't use it. But even in this situation, I can still more or less see things from YouTube and thinking Reddit is just a bit, but not that much. People are really upset with Ubisoft about a lot of stuff, and Ubisoft doesn't really. It's not. It's like they care, but they don't care at the same time because they care because they're not receiving money, but at the same time they don't care because they only complain about us gamers being wrong. We are wrong about this stuff. I don't know why. About their incompetent choices.
gamers. This company and its leadership think that they are on the righteous path.
Yeah,
Little do
they're
they
not.
know, it's a dead end. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been steeped in controversy and criticism since its initial reveal. Online discourse surrounding
Oh yeah, the new Assassin's Creed. So I don't even remember when was the last game I bought from Ubisoft. I think the last game I've played from Ubisoft, I think I think it was Rainbow Six Siege when it released, or Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think that was the last one.
the game has been almost entirely negative, with long-term fans of the franchise, general audience, and Japanese audiences up in arms over the creative liberties that Ubisoft has taken with the depiction of Yasuke, the fabled Black Samurai, and feudal Japan. Japanese creators, as well as just random bystanders, have taken to Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube and Reddit, voicing their concerns offended by the game's representation of their
Thank
history
God,
and
right?
culture. Inaccuracies like using
You don't like something? Complain about it. They will make it better or they will lose everything. And then the next one will be better. Or at the next one. Eventually they will become better. Because if they are not receiving money, they will try to make it better at some point.
Chinese architecture instead of Japanese, the legitimacy and relevance of the game's protagonist, Yasuke, and even going as far as stealing a flag and imagery from the Sekihara Teppo Tai,
Well, really?
and even going as far as stealing
They did that really?
a flag and imagery from the Sekihara Teppo Tai, a historical reenactment group where the company had to formally apologize for not
Dude,
asking for
that's wild.
permission to use their materials. Ubisoft's adventure into Japanese history has been a complete disaster, and it's only going to get worse. On September 11th of 2024, an article was penned by the New York Times titled "The Fight Over a Black Samurai in Assassin's Creed." The writer, Zachary Small, misrepresents the controversy and player concerns as merely those of a toxic minority of angry Western gamers, and the entire time he fixates on the race of Yasuke and not the broader implications at play in Ubisoft's mishandling and the frank disrespect for Japanese.
Well, wait. If only us Westerns are talking bad about the game, then why every trailer from Japan are getting massive dislikes as well? I've seen some trailer from Japan and it was like a massive dislike.
Japanese culture and history. This article was a collaboration between Ubisoft and the New York Times in an attempt to redirect the discussions surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows and minimize the feedback. The writer spoke with Kazuma Hashimoto, a consultant and translator for the games industry, later to be found out to be an
Oh, who would have thought? I saw that. Car running in New York Times hit piece again. Yeah, I saw that. It was when he went to complain to New York Times. Yeah, I remember that. It was like a week ago or something, right?
employee of Sweet Baby Incorporated that did consultant work for Ubisoft, but Hashimoto claimed that It was people in the West who were upset with seeing Yasuke as a
Yeah,
samurai, and that
just us.
many of the online negative comments were written in Japanese appeared to be roughly translated from English.
So basically, we Westerners translated English to Japanese and comment on the YouTube channel from Japan. But the problem is, I think there were a lot of Japanese as well, because you can also see that in the like dislike rates, because even if we wrote a lot in a translated English to Japanese, and what about the actual Japanese people that also wrote comments and also did they gave their dislikes as well?
Effectively hand waving the increasingly loud and valid concerns of the Japanese, asserting that it's all made up outrage. Nothing more than the gamers' war against DEI or inclusivity in video games.
It's
I find
always
it all too
DEI.
poetic and
It's
predictable for a
only
AAA publisher.
DEI became the excuse for everything. Oh, this game didn't sell well. Oh, it's because it was DEI. Sometimes it it can also be one of the factors, but it was not the only factor. Have you seen the gameplay trailers of this game? They're garbage.
To brush off player concerns and use their connections in the media to try to steer public discourse and sentiment into a favorable direction. All of these claims made by the New York Times as well as other writers are patently false. You can see the criticisms of Ubisoft's recent releases and the future release in Assassin's Creed Shadows everywhere. It's impossible to ignore. Videos and promotional material
Everyone's talking
ratioed
bad.
by dislikes and comments in mass numbers. Videos like mine and many others reaching widespread appeal because we have that many people that agree or share similar opinions.
Yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, nice shot.
With that said,
Um, that's a nice stuff because if you think about it, for example, I only follow some channels that talk about games and stuff, and I've actually received a lot of these videos talking bad about these last Ubisoft games because everyone was talking about it. Even people who weren't talking about it before were talking bad recently because it came to a point that the games are really bad. You can see the last, I think, Skull and Bones, right? I actually follow a streamer, and when the game released, he tried to play the game. The game had like 10 bugs just in like 5 minutes. The game didn't load well. The game was boring. It was soulless, and it was a quadruple A game. And every time they release something, it's like this.
I couldn't imagine that it was possible for anyone to ignore this level of feedback, and Ubisoft has to be seeing it. So I spoke with a few developers from Ubisoft to shed some light on these issues. I started
Okay.
off by asking how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the industry, whether that's its repetitive design, agenda-driven content, or predictable games. They responded saying, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in a video of his,
Oh, Asmon.
Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents any growth. I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash?
Yeah. That's also the sorry, I'm right on top. Think this is a bit better. They rarely talk about it and they brush it off as a toxic gamer talk. But how can you expect to improve if you do not accept criticism? You gotta accept criticism to get better. If you don't want to get better, if you don't want to hear criticism, show to your parents. They will say it's beautiful.
Toxic positivity that prevents any growth. I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by
Of
a
course.
culture that's as proud as the Japanese. They responded by saying that the criticisms haven't been talked about, and they've only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic
Fantastic.
publicly. Meaning everything that we've set up into this point, all the criticism that we've had over the years for Ubisoft games, even that of the industry itself, has fallen on deaf ears. I don't know if it's sad or if it's somewhat, it's somewhat cathartic to have that validated. I mean, it's the main complaint that the vast majority of gamers have had over the years, which is that these companies aren't listening to us. And in this case, I have developers that are telling me, yeah, they're not listening to you.
Yeah, basically all these what few months that people are complaining about the game, Ubisoft just basically said, yeah, who cares?
One, because they don't want to take criticism, and two, because they don't know how to differentiate bad from good criticism. I think this is my patented catchphrase by now, but when you have this much negative discourse surrounding your games, you need to be listening, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad feedback in your eyes, regardless if you align with these people's political beliefs or social political beliefs or whatever it might be. None of that matters. When you have your games on fire as much as Ubisoft games have been lately, you need to put those fires out somehow.
Of course, and I believe everyone, no matter how big or how small you are, you need to accept criticism. With that, you can grow, of course.
And the only way that you can do that is by listening to them and implementing whatever feedback you possibly can into your games to make them better. Regardless, the other thing is, I'm sorry. I am sick of, I am disgusted by the
Mm-hmm.
blatant, feigned virtue over how much they care about Japanese culture and history. I'm sorry. You are bastardizing
Yeah,
Japanese
they don't
culture and
really
history
care.
for profit.
They just want
That's what
money.
you're trying to do here. You're not trying to make a
The Assassin's Creed in Japan, I think it's the Assassin's Creed that people are asking since forever, and they never gave it to us. So, yeah, of course, they just want the money.
history piece. We know that. It's loosely based on, very loosely based on Japanese culture and history. Look at you guys. You put out a Torii Gate figurine, a half Torii Gate figurine with your characters
Oh, I didn't saw that. What is that?
on it without knowing the cultural relevance of the half Torii Gate. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
Wait, what? What the? It's the same? Yeah, it's the same. Wait. I'm not that good at Japan history. Well, I know a bit, but not that much. Is this a Torii Gate that only got half destroyed after the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
relevance of the half Torii Gate, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, do you have any idea what that means to these people? What's wrong with you?
And they were about to release a figurine with that? Really?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to leadership. When you look at Ubisoft's messaging, the lackluster delivery of titles like X Defiant and Star Wars Outlaws, the inaccuracies and screw ups with Assassin's Creed Shadows, you see a developer that has no clear plan or vision for what players want, what good games look like, or how to even do their job. I took the time to talk to the Ubisoft developers about workplace culture.
Dude, this seems like a game from PS3.
I took the time to talk to the Ubisoft developers about workplace culture, about the initiative that they've taken for diversity hiring, and what happens behind the scenes at Ubisoft. And it's wild to see how accurate some of the assumptions that have been made by myself and others. Now, continuing my conversation with one of the developers, I wanted to find more about the workplace structure and management. And seeing as though the company has had initiatives that have been put in place to make the workplace a little bit more diverse, I asked, what benefits have you seen? Is there more diversity in thought, or is it creating a more one sided environment? They
Okay,
said that
it's a
so
good
far the
question.
initiative hasn't had any impact on the team that I'm a part of. However, it's clear that some topics are taboo.
Oh, of course they are. I can't even imagine what it is to work in a place like that. In a place where you literally can't say anything. You have to be scared every day to talk.
What happened is now that people end up in a meeting with HR for trivial stuff, not adding smiley faces to a message or adding an exclamation point at the end of a message because some people are reporting it for harassment.
What? No. That's not true. I don't believe it. I can't believe. I refuse to believe it. Wait. Let me wait. I got a bit confused. They they had a meeting with HR just because John from the third sector didn't add a smiley face in a message. Really? Nah, 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 nah. If this is true, this is this is really weird.
One of the things that wasn't in your video is that Ubisoft had some controversy during the Me Too period, letting go of a manager in high positions and some left on their own because they knew they'd be discovered. I then asked, what was the impact of this in the
Man.
workplace? They responded by saying the editorial direction and overall mindset shifted from the boys club to safe content.
Yeah, it's
Reaching
every
for
game
plain
nowadays.
characters like Kay and Star Wars is a perfect example of this. The idea to have beautiful characters such as Baldur's Gate or Uncharted is met with distrust.
Who is Kay? Is the protagonist from Outlaws? I'm sorry to say, but I when I saw Star Wars Outlaws, I tried to stay as far away as I could from that game because I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. So uh yeah, I don't want to play that game. It seems really bad. So yeah, I don't know. I think it is because I don't remember Kay before, so I believe it's from Outlaws.
The developer shared sentiment saying that safe content also leads to limited opportunities on the gameplay side. Even for Star Wars, we had to work with Disney, which would have shut down most attempts at depicting a true criminal underworld with cruelty and drama.
Yeah, that's also bad because yeah, Star Wars is from Disney now. Yeah, well now it's already been some years, but yeah, I don't know how is Disney nowadays. Is Disney nowadays like woke and safe and everything else? Because I've also haven't been watching anything from Disney recently. So if they are like this, yeah, I can imagine it also must be really really bad. Oh, but don't get me wrong. They should quote unquote be excused from Star Wars Outlaws, but not from the other games. There are other games that also have the same problems as Outlaws, and they don't have Disney at the back of it.
When you put this developer's perspective in line with the recent failures and controversies at Ubisoft or any AAA developer at this point, it all makes sense. An overcorrection in sensitivity brought on by the boys' club days that many studios experienced during their early years. As such, many games today lack the teeth and grit that players crave because those things are seen as problematic or unsafe to make in the workplace.
Yeah.
Don't use emojis or exclamation points. You could offend someone. Holy shit. How soft have we
if this
gotten?
is
It
real,
reminds me of the time where the Helldivers 2 community manager went on a ban spree on their Discord because players were using a throw up emoji on furry art that was posted in their Discord. Sometimes people need to
wait, Helldivers had furries? I thought they were only humans and monsters. I haven't played Helldivers 2, so wait, people started posting furry art, and then people start responding that with the throw up emoji, and then the mods banned the people that were responding with the throw up emoji. Why?
be offended. While I'm going to try to resist the pull yourself up by your bootstraps tirade, friction on some levels is necessary in life. Now, that doesn't mean that people should be allowed to openly harass others, but there are major issues that arise when you have emojis that can get you fired. This
True.
overreaction and overcorrection leads to a workplace that is actively hostile towards freedom of thought, expression, and criticism.
Exactly. How
As
can
one of
you
the
thought?
interviewees mentioned earlier, they noticed a culture of
How can you think? How can you make something if you are scared of making something?
toxic positivity. From my perspective, toxic positivity is fake people saying fake things, and in the case of Ubisoft, making fake products. Nobody
Dude, this
wants to
game,
live their entire
dude, this game. Sorry, dude, but this game seems so bad.
life being terrified that someone is going to misunderstand them. And when you're at a studio like Ubisoft and you're not even allowed to make characters attractive, otherwise it might upset people at the studio, you have a problem. This culture of fear and forced uniformity stifles creativity and
Is
innovation.
she
It's no
controlling
wonder
a
that
rat?
Ubisoft is struggling to produce anything of real substance when their own developers are walking
What
on eggshells,
the hell?
more worried about HR complaints than creating groundbreaking games. How can you make bold, impactful content when every idea is scrutinized for being too risky, too offensive, or too unsafe. It's a workplace where mediocrity is rewarded and where pushing boundaries, the very things that games are supposed to do, is seen as a liability.
Exactly. Can you remember all the good games that had lots of creativity into them, how good they were? Nowadays, we only see that, well, I will not say only from them, but mostly from indie studios. Because AAA studios, as I said, there are still some that do it, but it's much less, and they just go to the safe option. And that's sad.
This workplace culture, this overreaction and overcorrection has infected just about every single industry that's out there. I worked in construction for 7 years up until last December, and the company that I worked for was more afraid of HR issues than they were of injuries. We worked with hydrogen
Ooh.
sulfide and hydrogen cyanide, gases that, if released, could kill half of a city. We've
Dude,
discussed
everything's wrong, right?
modern audiences, the mythical, magical modern audiences, and soft modern games. We found the audience. It's the people that are running these companies nowadays. You have folks that are walking around on eggshells, afraid to say anything. Anecdotal, but just like a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, I remember I was live streaming, and
Okay.
instinctively I said something was retarded. I'm a millennial. We all grew up saying it. It's a
Me
product
too.
of my upbringing. Say what you will. I didn't say it consciously. It just came out. And one of my chatters pops up and says, "How often do you say that word?" I banned the fuck out of them.
Good,
Get the fuck out.
good. I'm clapping. I'm clapping with my feet because I'm giving you a like right now with my hands. And also, just a quick question. Is there any problem saying the word retard on Twitch or something? Because, or at least at his country, because here in my country, we say this word a lot and everyone says it. It's commonly. So I really don't know.
Out of here with that. Are you kidding me? People that are out there that are waiting, prepared to be offended. I'm sick of it. You cannot have workplaces that are out there where every single thing that you say, you have to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. Otherwise, it could be your livelihood. And I'm not saying that you can walk around saying anything. That's not what this is.
Of
Everybody
course,
knows. I think that's
there are some words, of course, you shouldn't say. That's pretty much obvious. But it's not every single word that's bad as well.
the most frustrating part when you have these kind of conversations is that you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. But the
Exactly. People that are blaming you for saying stuff like this, they know the word doesn't mean nothing major. It's just that they just want to be annoying.
intellectual dishonesty around this kind of thing is just, it's fucking mind-boggling. We have workplace environments that actively work against any type of creative or constructive criticism.
True.
That's how you get games like this. This is how games and products are being ruined over time, is because nobody's allowed to criticize things properly. You have people in the workplace that are like, I don't think that these characters are going to be received well by the fans, but they're not allowed to say anything about it.
Yeah, just something real quick. A good example of that, of course, there are a lot of examples, of course, but one that's recently happened, at least to me, was that I play a game called Wuthering Waves. I've already reacted to some videos of the game before, and I've played the game since the release date. And the game came with lots of bugs and problems. Not only bugs, but also problems that made the game difficult, not because the monsters are difficult, no, but because it was complicated, a lot of stuff that didn't really need to be there and things that need to be there and stuff. And we send feedback to the devs. The devs' answer to us. There's already been 3 updates since the game released, and every single update, they got the game better. The game now is a lot better, improved than the first release in what, 5 months, I think, something like that. Why? Because they accepted criticism.
They can't say it's not hot enough, it's not masculine enough. They can't say that because it's problematic to say so. Tame and safe are the antonyms of exciting and daring.
True.
Baldur's Gate 3 was exciting and daring. Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm sorry to say, never played Baldur's Gate 3. Please don't hate me.
Tame and safe. Whether it's their poor job at representing Japan or the trailers of Assassin's Creed, there are clearly levels of incompetency at work. As many players have pointed out in the game trailers, the promotional materials that are meant to sell the game, you can see frame rate issues. Trailers, there are clearly
What was it? That knocked down?
Levels of incompetency at work. As many players have pointed out in the game trailers, the promotional materials that are meant to sell the game.
It seems like I'm watching a prank.
You can see frame rate issues, texture issues, poor collision detection, weapons clipping through characters, and more. Controversies aside, this game doesn't look like it's ready for launch, and in fact, its developer just recently came out and canceled their appearance at Tokyo Game Show and announced that the game
Yeah,
would
I
be
saw
delayed
that.
until February.
I saw
Along
that.
with the delay, Ubisoft CEO
Don't get me wrong, I think they should have probably delayed the game for another 3 years. Make something good out of that.
recently issued a memo to their employees that ended up getting leaked publicly, and it
Of
showcases just
course.
how out of touch this company is with their
Thank God, because because Ubisoft is so big that a lot of people working there are leakers, and they are leaking lots and lots of stuff for us to react and watch and know about everything that's going on inside.
players. Rather than acknowledging their real missteps, they're clinging to critic scores, pointing out
Oh
Star
my
Wars
God.
Outlaws had a solid 76 on Meta.
What? This piece of shit that I'm watching right now is 76? Who gave that score?
Critic. Oh, I didn't know that you were trying to sell the game to game reviewers. That makes a lot of sense, seeing as though that
Oh, okay. Game reviewers. Okay,
you're
okay.
completely ignoring player feedback that clearly shows that your game is hovering in mediocrity.
Wait, but what was the score from the players? Or it doesn't have. I don't watch what was the website? I don't watch Metacritic.
Oh, I didn't know that you were trying to sell the game to game reviewers. That makes a lot of sense, seeing as though that you're completely ignoring player feedback that clearly shows that your game is hovering in mediocrity.
Also, another thing, and sorry for pausing so much, but this game is giving me problems. How did she transport this entire stuff while no one noticing, and like this entire place, this entire facility didn't have one single camera? Like here in my country, we're not that organized, and if you try to do stuff like this, you get caught easily because there are tons of cameras. There's people everywhere.
Even worse, they believe that Black Friday sales are somehow going to magically turn things around, not realizing that no amount of discounting will make up for a product that fundamentally misses the mark and nobody's interested in.
True, completely true. There have been a lot of games that costed the famous $60, and here in my country, this price is a lot more. It's 4 times for us, this price. And a lot of people here bought the game because the game was good. Not this one, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking games that are good that release for a high price, but the game was good, so we bought it. This freaking piece of garbage right here, if it was free, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't
The
get
memo
it.
reads more like a corporate spin than a genuine reflection of failure. No mention of the controversies or deeper issues that
is
are
so
plaguing the
bad.
company. They talk about how all players want are highly polished games on launch day, when the truth is players are craving meaningful, risk-taking, authentic content.
Yeah, that's true. You can. He talked about polished games on launch day. I talk to you. Powered. Powered was far from being polished. The game was a bug fest. The game had lots of problems, but the game was incredibly funny. The game was a blast. I had more than 200 hours in that game. The game was good. There had bugs, yes, but I didn't care. No one cared because the game was good. If the game is polished, good. If it's not, but interesting, it's fun, then there's no problem. You can solve the problems later.
Things that Ubisoft hasn't seen in decades. Even in their own memo to their own employees, they can't speak frankly about their mistakes. This sanitized messaging shows just how deeply disconnected the company is from the people that it should be listening to, the players. Interested in the perspective of the employees who received this memo, I had a few questions on their thoughts of the messaging and the leadership of the company. I asked, what has been the message from management to the staff about Ubisoft's declining sales? What do they believe is the reason behind it? They responded, the fun fact is they don't talk much about it. They mainly focus on the fact that they reached their financial objective.
Oh, of course. So the game is not really selling. What should we do about it? Mm, who cares? Let's go to the next game.
Which are mainly achieved through casual player sales, not the vocal gamer minority that are sick of what you described in your video. Also, something to know is that through the years, the number of management floors has increased to ridiculous amounts. So communication is often blurry unless they come directly from HQ, and even then, it's almost entirely corpo bullshit that isn't useful in the end.
But real question right now. They are too far apart because there are a lot of floors. So I imagine they talk with each other from messages. Have they remembered to use the smiley emote? It's crucial.
I asked another employee to verify the increase in management at the company, fearing that this is likely one of the biggest issues that's facing the company, seeing that lack of clear and creative vision. They painted a picture of a company that's not only overrun with management, but that's passively aggressive about removing higher paid and talented employees while slotting in underskilled and unexperienced management at a cheaper rate. They claim that Ubisoft
Yeah, continue doing that, continue doing that. Y- Your company is going downhill.
as an employer shows little regard for their developers. What happens in practice is that they essentially push out senior engineers, promoting junior engineers to senior roles after just a few years of experience, oftentimes with experience in just one engine. Meanwhile, experienced developers with far broader skill sets are being overlooked. This constant cycle of turnover with inexperienced leaders leads to noticeable drops in quality, with bugs appearing in their games.
Of
The
course.
passionate, dedicated developers leave, while those who are just going through the motions stay behind. This doesn't just affect the technical quality of their games, but also impacts the design and creativity. For instance, you'll find designers working on FPS mechanics who have never played an FPS game
Really? They they really have that?
before, or engineers who don't understand how the mechanics they're building are supposed to feel.
Dude, I can imagine like a boomer, like of 60 years old. They decided to make him work as a designer on FPS mechanics, and then he start, oh my God, how do I do this? This is not my stuff.
There's a lack of passion and skill across the board, and the results are obvious. That line about designers working on FPS games and leading FPS projects struck a chord with me. Not long ago, Ubisoft released X-Defiant, a military shooter that was meant to compete with the likes of Call of Duty. However, since the game's release, they've lost the vast majority
This piece of shit competing against Call of Duty. I don't really like that much FPS, but I would play Call of Duty 100 times before playing this garbage.
of their player base, with Ubisoft claiming that the game isn't dying, despite it reportedly losing 94% of its players on X.
Really? The game the game lost 95% players? Well, it's Xbox players. Well, it's still a lot, but yeah, unfortunately, we don't know the number of players on their launcher, right? Well, I don't actually believe it's a lot. It must be some.
Xbox. Why is X Defiant ran into so many issues? Netcode, hit registration, and general shooter gameplay issues. Common problems that are normally ironed out well before a game ever hits the market, especially a shooter. It's core to the gameplay. If you're playing a live service shooter, all you do is shoot. That's the gameplay. But when the shooting doesn't work, you don't have a game.
That's actually true. I would play Overwatch 10 times over playing this game, and I don't even want to play Overwatch.
Ubisoft's leadership is completely disconnected from the reality of game development and player expectations. The problems stem from a bloated management structure that's prioritizing reaching financial targets through casual player sales,
Oh, that's
rather
always a
than
nice
listening to the
headshot at
core gaming
least.
community that's sick of their tired formulas. Even their own developers are frustrated as they watch as talented senior engineers are pushed out of the studios and inexperienced juniors are promoted far too quickly, leading to a noticeable drop in quality.
It's so weird, right? How they keep promoting junior people out of nowhere without them doing anything. I it's like what they do have in their minds for doing that.
It's no wonder their games are riddled with bugs and lack any real innovation. This company is more focused on appearances rather than creating meaningful, engaging content. The quality of their games doesn't matter as long as they aren't offending anyone. When you see the issues that plague Assassin's Creed
That's so sad, man. That's so sad.
Shadows, the pandering, the generic virtue, the lies, the cover ups, and the lack of understanding of what they're apparently inspired by, when you see how safe and tame, how boring, buggy, and soulless Star Wars Outlaws is, when you see how their most anticipated shooter in X Defiant is riddled with the most common issues, bugs, all kinds of different things that normal shooters would never have on day one, that's made by developers and led by developers that haven't even played an FPS game, you see a studio and a publisher that lacks integrity and a spine. Cowards in leadership roles, afraid to loosen their grip on the wheel. Developers afraid to speak out and unable to express any of their creativity. Franchises destined for obscurity. Ubisoft
I actually got sorry, I was actually thinking about something that actually got in my mind. So they are actually afraid of offending people with their games. And I was actually thinking, oh, why? I was actually going to comment that, but my mind stopped me before. And I was going to comment, why don't they should just do like South Park and offend literally everyone if they're afraid of offending a minority. Just offend everyone then, like South Park. And then I remembered, didn't they make the games from South Park? Wasn't there like a new one that released, I think, last year or this year, the one with the snow or something, or it wasn't Ubisoft? Because it's impossible to make South Park without offending people.
isn't just losing its way, it's already lost. And the only thing left is to watch it burn. You know, it's crazy to speculate about these kind of things, but it's an entirely different beast to find out what you've been believing this entire time is absolutely true. And I want to take the time to thank the developers that reached out to me. It was daring for them to do something like that. Obviously, their identities are being kept secret for very obvious
Of course,
reasons.
they
Most of
can
these folks will
lose
lose
their
their job
jobs.
over having these kind of discussions. But yeah, keep in mind, what's really sad about this is that there are developers that are working at these studios that want to see things change, that want to fix things, that see these obvious issues, but they're not allowed to do anything about it.
Imagine you being a game developer and you've played Assassin's Creed, the ones with Ezio Auditore, and imagine you were a a kid or a teenager or something, and then you grew up playing Assassin's Creed, a good Assassin's Creed, and it was your dream to work at Ubisoft to make games like these, and then you study hard, and then you enter Ubisoft to make games like these, and it's a freak fest like this. It must be disheartening.
That's that sucks. That's something that all of us can empathize with. I'm pretty sure that anybody that's watching this video right now has likely worked with some level of management that took them in the wrong direction, and led them down the wrong path. You know, the biggest issue for Ubisoft is that the damage is already done. Their brand is already torched. Their name and their reputation is in shambles by now. And looking at looking and seeing that they have pushed back Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's for obvious reasons. While they're going to say that it's for fixing issues in the game, there's issues that we saw in the trailers, so that's totally believable. The game likely does need more, more time in the oven more than anything
Yeah, the game is not ready. I've saw the trailers from the game and the game is not ready.
else. But outside of that, you know, I really think it's just them trying to distance it from all of the bad press. Because there's a lot of people that have been talking about Ubisoft. There's a lot of people that have been talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it doesn't look good. And pushing it all the way to February, I don't think any of that's going to change anything. If
True.
anything, seeing how often they like to put their own foot in their mouth when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're just giving me and a bunch of other content creators more time to farm you more than anything else.
Count me in.
I was talking to one of the developers about the delay, and they're like, one of the things that really confused the whole group of developers is that they're like, well, we need more time to fix bugs and issues, but we're also going to add more quests and side content. They're like, those two things don't have anything to do with one another, and one creates more issues.
True.
This
Completely
doesn't
true.
make any sense. And also, you push it to February, the month that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds release.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
You're cooked. What are you doing?
Actually, I think they will delay again.
What are you doing? I don't know, man. I want to thank everybody. Thank you guys for watching the last video as well. It was my first 1 million view video. That's just a wild achievement, one that I wasn't really sure that I'd ever be able
Congratulations,
to
dude.
achieve.
This
And you
video is
guys made that
awesome.
possible, so thank you guys for that. Again, if it wasn't for your guys' support, stories like these wouldn't be able to come out. I hope I get to do more stuff like this in the future because I had a great time making this video. This is probably this is my most favorite video that I've ever made. But yeah, outside of that, thank you guys. If you guys have enjoyed the content, make sure that you're sharing these videos. Make sure you like the video. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What are you doing? Come on, man. Just
I'm already
get
subscribed,
on
dude. Don't
board.
worry about it.
If you guys want to catch me live, you can follow me on Twitch. I'm live 2 days a week. I'm working on videos 4 days a week. I'm sleeping 1 day a week. But outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, this is really bad. I don't actually remember the last time I was excited for a Ubisoft game. I still think it was Black Flag. No, actually there was one game that was, I wouldn't say excited, but I wanted to play. It was the Avatar game. Because when I saw they were making the Avatar game, I thought, oh, well, it's Ubisoft, so it may be a bit bad. But it's Avatar. I love that world. I love the concept. So I thought, I think there's no way for them to make the game bad, right? And then I saw trailers, and then I saw some people playing the game, and then I felt sad. I think the same way people are feeling about Star Wars Outlaws, because it's a game about Star Wars, I felt about Avatar because I really like the franchise. And I felt that. So yeah, I'm really, really, really sad. I hope, and don't get me wrong, I don't wish for their demise. I don't wish for their getting destroyed or something like that. I just wish they make good games again because they made good games. So maybe they will come back someday. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what did you think. And I'll start reacting to more videos like these in the future because I want to be part of the fun, and I have been watching these types of videos alone, and now I want to talk with you guys about this stuff as well. Until the next one, everyone. Bye.